Woo-sa. Woo-sa. Summer's over, back to the grind. Hello Tarantula lovers, I'm Alex and welcome back to Tarantula Haven. Yes, my summer has quickly come to an end. As of next week, I will be officially back in school. Not with kids yet, we'll be in pre-planning, but the kids are coming real soon. So my summer has just flown by. There doesn't seem to be enough hours in the day to get done the things I wanted to get done. It seems like every year I don't accomplish anywhere near what I wanted to accomplish at the beginning of the summer. So that's just the case every year. I just feel like there's just not enough hours in the day to do the things that you want to do. With that being said, today's video is something that I don't do all that often, and that is a feeding video. The reason I don't do feeding videos that much is because they're very time consuming. Now you may think it's very easy to just set up a camera on a tripod, put a tarantula in front of it and feed it and then record the results. But it's not that simple. If you do that, you're going to get that same top-down angle and you're just going to see the same thing over and over. So of course, I like to set up my shots. I like to capture the tarantula as best as possible and then zoom in for some close-up footage of it moving and eating and so on. So that makes for a lot more interesting video. And that in itself takes up a whole lot of time. Not to mention, you have to go through a lot of tarantulas and record every single one, whether it does something good or not, in hopes that you're going to capture something spectacular. So of course, tarantulas don't always do what you want them to do. Some will eat, some will not. Some will just snatch their prey and go right back down into their burrow, and that doesn't make for very great video footage. So that takes up a lot of time. And then of course you have to go through all that extra footage that you captured, good or bad, and then sort through all the good stuff and keep that, and then discard all the rest. So it is extremely time consuming to do a decent feeding video. And that's why I tend to avoid them. So I decided to take a different approach on this one. This is not going to be one of those spectacular driving music feeding videos. This is going to be a relaxing feeding video where we just relax, sit back and enjoy the tarantulas and watch them eat. Let's start out with my Brachypelma Natasha. Do tarantulas sleep? Sure looks like it here. It looks like she's kind of in a dormant state. She doesn't even realize that I'm touching her with the cricket and she's not reacting at all. I had to check to see if she was still alive, and yep, she is. When I feed roaches, I will usually feed one large roach to each tarantula, but depending on the size of the prey will determine how much I give them. Because these crickets are smaller, I will usually throw in about 2 or 3 crickets depending on the size of the tarantula. And Natasha always enjoys a little happy dance with her meal. Next up is another sleepy tarantula. This is an Aphonopelma simani. She's recently molted and she should be pouncing on this cricket normally, but she's kind of sleepy, I guess. So let's see if we can wake her up. Nandu chromatus. This species has a very high food drive and will normally almost always pounce on their prey as soon as you drop it in. Here's a very shy Aphanopelma chalcodes. Let's see if we can lure it out of its burrow. Gliltocatl vagans. She has a very high food drive and will almost always pounce on its food as soon as it's dropped in. And she also likes to give a little happy dance when she eats. Grammostola pulchra. She can be a little picky at times. There are times when I drop in prey and she doesn't react, and there's times when she pounces right away. Let's see how she does this time. Don't blink because Acanthoscuria geniculata have a very high food drive and will pounce readily on anything that drops in their enclosure, including water. This is Carmelita, my Brachypelma hamori or hamorii. I named her after my mom because she's kind of special to me. This is the very first species that I ever encountered as a child, and it's what made me fall in love with tarantulas in general, although I don't know how my mom would feel about me naming my tarantula after her. And that's the thanks I get for trying to feed her. This is Cersei, my Harpectera pulchripes, and I named her after Cersei Lannister of Game of Thrones for obvious reasons, but also because she ate one of the males that I tried to breed her to. She normally has a very sweet disposition, but she can be feisty, and she has a very high food drive. Ceratogyrus marshalli. After a recent molt, she decided that she no longer wanted to live in the skull burrow that she had made and would rather sit on top. So I don't know if she'll change her mind after a while, but right now, this is her spot. Wow, I absolutely love those striations on her carapace and that jet black horn. Meg Mucklebones, my Salmopius cambridgei, and she didn't even allow me to set up the shot, she just snatched that roach right off the tongs. Xenisthes intermedia. She's being a little shy right now because I opened the enclosure. This is the one that I rehoused in my last video, and she is a great eater and normally will sit out in the open. Pteronocylus murinus. Normally they have a very high food drive, and she will usually sit out on the webbing, but anytime you disturb the enclosure, she retreats to her burrow. Wow, just look at that beautiful red contrasting on that white webbing. Xenisthes species blue. This is another shy member of the Xenisthes genus. She's trying to hide from me, and she sticks her abdomen in the air ready to flick hairs. She'll usually dart about trying to find a place to hide in her enclosure, but they have a very high food drive, and that usually overrides their need to hide. Here's another Xenisthus intermedia, and this one is a male, and he is very close to a molt. If you can see the bald abdomen there, but it still has a very high food drive and it is still willing to eat. Formictopus cancerides. This is a very bold tarantula, and as you can tell by the small abdomen, she has recently molted, but normally she should be pouncing on prey, but it seems like she is not interested in eating at all. In fact, she's more interested in trying to walk out of the enclosure and climb onto my light. A common name for this tarantula was the Haitian brown, but I never liked that name because I felt it didn't give it enough credit. They develop these beautiful copper colors and even some purplish tints to their legs, and they're just such a beautiful tarantula. Brown just doesn't seem to cover it. Hispaniolan giant seems to be more commonly used now, and I like this name better because it doesn't address color and it seems to make the tarantula more attractive and less common. Normally I would have taken this opportunity to allow her to walk over onto my hand and handle her for a little bit, but I got a little bit nervous when I tried to guide her back in with the tongs, and she gave me a little threat posture and slapped at me a little bit, so I figured I would be wise not to. She did climb onto the light, and when I tried to pick up the light to put her back into the enclosure, she actually walked over onto another light that I had above and kind of walked along that. So I had to catch cup her and put her back in. Here is a juvenile Brachypelma boehmei, and I named him Boris too because originally I had Boris and Natasha, and I tried to breed Boris to Natasha, but it was unsuccessful and he passed away. And Boris too is a male, so eventually in the future I plan to pair him to Natasha. Hopefully things will go better this time. Chromatopelma cyaniopubescens. I've been getting a lot of requests lately to do an update on her basketball display case enclosure that I made, and here it is. It doesn't look anything like what I originally set up. She has literally webbed up everything and kind of made a funnel shape toward a tunnel underneath the driftwood, and that's pretty much where she stays all the time. However, she does like to wander all around the top of her webbing. People ask me if I have any kind of locking mechanism on the lid. I do not, and she has never escaped. I may regret that someday, but it seems like the way it's set up, it makes it difficult for them to push out. So she's still in there and she doesn't escape. So it seems like she likes it. Maybe eventually I'll get her a tarantula cube or something. That GBB at the end, her colors are so spectacular, I can watch her all day. She's recently molted, which is why her colors are so vibrant, but I just love feeding her because she's one of those that will always perform on cue because she loves to eat. And she likes that enclosure. She's really webbed it up and made herself a nice little tunnel underneath the grass and the sticks, and that's pretty much where she stays a lot of the time, but she also does like to wander around the outside. So just a spectacular specimen to watch and observe all the time. And that Phormictopus cancerides, talk about tarantulas not doing what you want them to do. She was not interested in eating at all. Those crickets were literally bouncing off her legs and she did not react to them at all. She was more interested in going for a little walk, and she tried to walk up on my light. She did walk up on my light. And when I picked it up, she walked over on the other light that I had overhead. So she decided that she wanted to go for a walk. And I would have handled her, but I chickened out when she gave me a threat posture and she slapped at me. Because she has recently molted and she should be hungry, I did not want to trigger that food drive while I'm holding her, so I figured it was safer not to, but I wish I did. It would have been so fun to hold her because I've never held that one before. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please give me a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. If you want to support this channel, I have a Teespring store where I sell Tarantula Haven merchandise. Thank you so much to my Patreon supporters, and if you'd like to become a patron yourself, there's a link down below in the description, as well as all the others. Until next time, keep loving them tarantulas.